Welcome, everyone, to today's podcast of Places, People, Purpose. Today, we're going to talk about some of the places that my mother, sister, and I really enjoyed during our visit to Paris. We've already covered the Eiffel Tower and Montmartre, as well as the d'Orsay and Rodin museums in prior podcasts. So today, we're going to give some more background and information on the Bateaux Mouches, the Champs-Élysées, the Arc de Triomphe, and my favorite wine shop in Paris. That's a lot to cover, so let's get to it. One of the experiences in Paris that we took part in and would recommend to others is the Bateaux Mouches. The Bateaux Mouches company offers cruises on the Seine, and you can pair the cruise with a meal if you choose to. If you pick the dinner cruise, you have two choices for how much you want to pay for your meal. When Mom, Sherry, and I took our cruise, we paid for the more expensive meal and didn't regret it. We had such a wonderful time together, having good food with good wine and beautiful scenery. At night, Paris takes all opportunities to show off its resplendent beauty. There's something very magical about drinking French wine as you slowly move down the Seine with the lights of the Eiffel Tower shining before you. It's hard to really imagine this type of setting until you experience it. So for us, it was a very special evening together, and of course, the company was fantastic. A couple of thoughts for those of you considering whether or not you want to do this activity. Please remember you will be on a boat, not a restaurant, and the cruise involves feeding a lot of people at the same time. If you are expecting to receive the same quality of food as a top restaurant, then you might want to reconsider. We thought the food was quite good for the circumstances, which means many people on a boat all eating at the same time. For us, the unique experience of enjoying a meal together while floating down the Seine and seeing Paris in its glory at night was well worth the trade-offs. But think about these things when making your decision so that your expectations don't exceed the possible. When I look back on our experience, I still remember the beauty of the Paris lights and the wonderful evening that we were able to spend together. If any of you choose to try this experience, my hope is that you will have those same types of memories. Let's move on to the Champs-Élysées. The Champs-Élysées name is French for the mythical Greek paradise, the Elysian Fields. In the 17th century, it was originally a narrow and muddy path through fields and gardens. The Champs-Élysées and its gardens were originally laid out in 1667 by André Le Nôtre, the famous landscape architect of the Palace of Versailles. In the 18th century, the avenue began to evolve into more of an urban space, and in 1724, the Champs-Élysées became a public promenade, and its development as a grand avenue continued. Between 1854 and 1870, Napoleon III, the nephew of Napoleon I, orchestrated the reconstruction of the French capital. The medieval center of the city was demolished and replaced with broad, tree-lined boulevards, covered walkways, and arcades. The Champs-Élysées was further developed and embellished, and by the late 19th century, the Champs-Élysées had become a fashionable avenue. In the 19th century, the avenue became a popular place for social gatherings, entertainment, and leisure activities. It also became a hub for various shops, theaters, and cafes. The Champs-Élysées was extended in the mid-19th century, reaching its current length of approximately 1.9 kilometers or 1.2 miles from the Place de la Concorde to the Arc de Triomphe. The Champs-Élysées played a significant role in various historical events, such as the Victory Parade at the end of World War I and the liberation of Paris during World War II. In more recent times, it has been a site for numerous celebrations and events, including Bastille Day parades and the final stage of the Tour de France. Work has already begun on some big changes for the famous avenue. Around the Arc de Triomphe, pedestrians will have a much wider space to walk, while cars will be limited to a smaller part of the current roadway. A large amount of renovation work is planned, and roughly 15,000 square meters of additional trees, shrubs, and plants will be added in the Champs-Élysées gardens. The avenue, which is currently dominated by traffic, will be evolving to a green promenade. Some of these changes will be visible when Paris hosts the 2024 Olympics, so be watching for this. Located at the western end of the Champs-Élysées, in the center of the Place Charles de Gaulle, is the Arc de Triomphe. The Arc de Triomphe was commissioned by Napoleon Bonaparte in 1806, following his victory at Austerlitz, which is near present-day Brno in the Czech Republic. Napoleon intended it to commemorate the French army's triumphs and to honor the French soldiers who fought in the French Revolutionary and Napoleonic Wars. Jean Chagrin, a French architect, was selected to design the monument. He designed the arch in a neoclassical style, inspired by the ancient Roman Arch of Titus, but with significant modifications. The monument features intricate sculptures and inscriptions that commemorate specific battles and generals. The monument was completed and inaugurated on July 29, 1836. It was officially named the Arc de Triomphe de l'Étoile, referring to the star-shaped configuration of roads radiating from the arch. The Arc de Triomphe became a symbol of national pride and a site of major public ceremonies, particularly military parades and state funerals. It holds the tomb of the unknown soldier, which honors unidentified French soldiers who died in World War I. Over the years, the Arc de Triomphe has undergone several modifications and restorations to maintain its structural integrity and appearance. In the late 20th century, the arch underwent significant restoration, including cleaning, repairs, and the addition of a small museum that provides information on the history of the arch. Today, the Arc de Triomphe stands as a symbol of French nationalism, military valor, and the enduring legacy of the Napoleonic era. It continues to be a major tourist attraction and a prominent part of the Parisian landscape. Last but not least, I'd like to talk a little bit about my favorite wine shop in Paris, which is LeGrand Filles et Fils. I was extremely lucky for several years, and that a team that I managed was based in Paris. As a result, I was able to travel to Paris on an annual basis and visit my team for work. If at all possible, I would add on a weekend either before or after the trip to enjoy the city. someone suggested to me that I check out the LeGrand wine shop, and I'm so glad they did. LeGrand is located in the Galerie Vivienne, which is a small, elegant shopping mall that was originally built in 1823. Today, the mall contains a diverse selection of high-end boutique shops. The roof for the mall is made of glass and steel, so that on sunny days it gives an ambiance and feel of being outdoors. I love going to LeGrand as they are very gracious and helpful. They also serve some champagnes by the glass that I wouldn't buy a bottle of due to the price. It's wonderful to splurge on a glass of Krug champagne and be able to try an absolutely stunning expression of French champagne. And when I buy champagne, the employees at LeGrand never try to sell me the most expensive bottle of what they have. I explain that what matters most to me is value for the price, and they make recommendations in a reasonable price range. Because I made annual trips to Paris for work, I started taking an empty wine suitcase with me so that I could take home 10 to 12 wonderful bottles of French champagne. When I bought the suitcase at Total Wine, I have to be honest, I was the subject of many jokes. However, when I would bring out one of my bottles of champagne for a special occasion, the laughs always turned to appreciation. And I've always felt that the best wines always taste better when shared with those we love. That's all we have for today's episode of Places, People, Purpose. If you are lucky enough to find yourself in Paris and you are a wine lover, do yourself a favor and visit LeGrand Filles. You'll be glad you did. We're really excited about our next several episodes, as they will cover our recent time in Spain and Portugal. We can't wait to share all of the things we learned and what our experiences were in these countries. So please join us for our next episode of Places, People, Purpose, where we create connections to our world.